bouncy ball. This is an experiment with your shutter speed and aperture combo to get the proper exposure, but mostly what I want you to do in this week is to experiment with your shutter speed. I know that some of you don't have a setting to control specific shutter speed. You have no control to go from 1/60th to 250th to 1,000th of a second. But you might have an action mode or a sports mode, or you might want to play with your exposure and your type of photo that you're taking. This is the week to experiment. So you need to have at least one with a fast shutter speed that produces a crisp image, and at least one with a slow shutter speed that we are able to see the fluid movement. We can see that motion blur. Either individually or get together with some friends and try to capture either a bouncy ball or a big ball, whatever ball, basketball, whatever you want, whatever you have around. Try to capture that in the air with the best quality as possible. So remember, this is an exercise working with the shutter speed options on your camera. When you submit these photos, put them in a presentation form and make sure that you also post the settings. I want to specifically see your aperture and your shutter speed. If you set ISO, those are the main things I want to see. Now, if your camera does not allow you to set specifics, tell me what mode you are in. Remember, some of you have access to Adobe Bridge, which allows you to see that metadata, and that may be the source where you find your specific shutter speed and aperture setting. So you do need to give me what you had your camera set to. These two photos were taken by Kimberly Foley, and you can see she has her settings there labeled underneath. One was 400th of a second and one was just a 1/10 of a second. And you can see the difference. We've captured a still motion on the bouncy ball on the left and the bouncy ball on the right. We see that fluid movement with that motion blur. Here's another example, which actually turned out to be quite fun with the shadows. This was from Michelle Westman. She got some large colorful balls to play with in this exercise. And you can see that, the motion is not absolutely still. There's a little bit of blur around it, but it's really fun to see the shadow effects. So the more creative you can be in this, the better. You might be able to get some really cool things, but remember, it's a study on shutter speed, fast shutter speed and slow shutter speed.